So earlier in the year, I decided to search through my Steam library for games to play, and I decided to play F1 2018. And I know it's a pretty interesting choice given the game's 4 years old, but it actually sparked a little interest for F1. So I've been interested in F1 for, a fair portion of the racing season, but I never actually watched the full game in its entirety. It's almost like the gods wanted me to have a good experience when I watched my first race. And, the stage couldn't be set any better. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen tied on points in the final race to win the Drivers' Championship. And, I decided to watch this one, and boy, was I not disappointed. This race had absolutely everything. And look, I'll give my best depiction of it, given I don't know too much about the sport. Well, I know a bit. I know enough. But there was some crazy shit happening, a lot of discussion with the FIA radio about Lewis Hamilton. He cut the corner, and he basically had to give back, some of the lead that he'd obviously gained from cutting the corner, even though Max Verstappen stayed on the track when they collided, or when Max blocked off Lewis. But that didn't really happen. So obviously that was a little bit of early drama. Obviously Lewis Hamilton, very good driver, and he demonstrated his driving skills for pretty much the entire race. Obviously he had, I think, the medium tires, but even with the medium tires and the hard tires, which were, slower tires than whatever Max was trying to run, he was still keeping up the pace and actually gaining seconds. He was just extending his lead gradually, and I was like, well, Max is gone for all money. But then the gods intervened. We had a couple safety cars. I don't know how many pit stops Red Bull did, but the safety cars were their saving grace. Lewis Hamilton backed his ability, stayed out on track, and wanted to run these hard tires. But the problem was there was a bit too much age on those tires, and I think it was about 34 laps when the last lap of the race came around. And I guess you can't say that was very ideal, because Red Bull, with about 10 laps to go, were like, oh, we need the gods to intervene. We need the F1 gods to intervene. And I guess you can't really call him a god, but Nicholas Latifi intervened. He crashed his car, obviously not intentionally, but this changed the landscape of this damn race. Absolutely insane how this panned out. Obviously, there was an earlier safety car that trimmed about 4 seconds off what would be usual pit stop. But then this second safety car pretty much changed the absolute living hell out of the race. Latifi forced the safety car out, and then, I think at that point, Lewis Hamilton had a 13-second lead, and with about, 4 laps to go. So there was no way Max was catching up. You'd have to, if there was anything you could do, we'd have to go into the pits and go on soft tires and basically create the biggest comeback in human history, activate some supersonic abilities that no human being has ever heard of. But instead, the safety car to come out for a good 3 or 4 laps, the grid basically bundled up. Lewis Hamilton's lead evaporated, and then the 5 cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen all are allowed ahead of the safety car, so Verstappen and Hamilton are side by side. And Lewis Hamilton had not gone into the pits for about 30 laps. Max Verstappen had gone into the pits whilst that safety car was out, and was allowed to go on a pair of softs, or while they went on a pair of softs. Nothing to lose. And it just worked out so damn well for Max Verstappen, and so damn bad for Lewis Hamilton. This race was absolutely hectic. You just combine the commentators, being absolutely in awe with what was going on, and I guess the inevitable result was incoming. We knew once Verstappen and Hamilton were side by side, and that 13-second lead for Hamilton was erased just like that. You just knew that Verstappen was winning, because there was no way. Even though Hamilton is a bloody amazing driver, he was not holding on to that lead. As I said before, though, you've got the commentators going nuts. You've got the team radios just going absolutely nuts. You know, Mercedes were absolutely livid. You could see like live reactions, you know, in the garage. Toto Wolff was going nuts. You know, absolutely insane. And I mean, some people are saying the FIA shaped this race, but I think we've just got to appreciate the absolute brilliance, the absolute entertainment, the absolute, I mean, this was just entertainment. And I could have not honestly asked for a better race to watch. And I mean, it was like 1:30 in the morning when the end of the race arrived, and I like couldn't really contain my excitement. So I wouldn't have been surprised if I woke someone up. But regardless, an amazing race nonetheless, an amazing racing season, I think. And I think just when you think about it, when you put in the grand scheme, 22 races, and they were tied on points. Quite honestly, could be one of the lowest probabilities, you know. Obviously, it was a first for F1 history. And for it to be decided the way it was, I mean, Max Verstappen got the win, you know, gifted to him. Lucked out. Lewis Hamilton got absolutely stitched up. But it can't take away from the entertainment that this F1 racing season has brought. And, you know, obviously, there's been some good driving. Kimi Räikkönen was doing his last race today, and obviously loved by the F1 community. Obviously, I don't understand that because I've been an F1 fan for a fairly long time. But obviously, people were gutted that he had to basically knock himself out because, you know, the car wasn't really putting up with him. So that's a bit of a shame. But obviously, some other good drives today. But obviously, I don't really know what I'm talking about with those cars. So I'm probably just going to stay out of it. Anyway, that was my thoughts on the race at Abu Dhabi. Bloody amazing race. You know, neck and neck. Sergio Perez, obviously, should not be underestimated how well of a driver he is as well. He was able to hold off Lewis Hamilton for a fair portion there. Obviously, probably wouldn't have made a difference given the safety car basically evened the field out. But he was able to hold off Lewis Hamilton for a good amount of seconds to get Max Verstappen into the contest, you know, back into the contest, you know, in a stage where Lewis Hamilton seemed to be getting away from him. So you never know, if Lewis Hamilton went a bit faster, you know, the landscape of the whole race could have changed. But obviously we will never know, nor will we, you know, live to see the day when something like this happens again. I don't believe so. So, yeah, but regardless, bloody sick race. I will be watching the F1 more religiously next year, I believe. Obviously, the first race is in Australia, so I may go. Anyway, that's going to be it. Drop a like on this. This is a really unique video. If you want me to do some F1 stuff, bloody let me know in the comments. And drop a like on it. It's as simple as that. And subscribe to the channel. We're doing a lot of sports content on here. So that's going to be it from me. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Peace out.